You said something in there, Minor, that got me thinking just about how Jesus did kind of move towards the marginalized and the outcast, that he moved towards lepers and prostitutes and poor people and tax collectors and I already said lepers and sick people. Um, but did he ever serve the rich? And so therefore we actually work with people who have maybe made better choices and accumulated more and they have something to pass on. Like, how do we approach that?
Yeah, it's a really good question because it helps people understand that there is not a one size fits all. And so every solution doesn't happen for everyone. And so when somebody tries to tell you, they get you together in a big conference or some kind of big room and teach a bunch of people, but they're teaching the same thing to a large crowd of 200, 400 people. It doesn't work well for everyone. So let me explain how we at Trusted Covenant do this. And so there are what I consider three levels of finance. The first level of finance, and it actually coincides with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That level one finance is really the bottom of the pyramid that he shows, where people are just looking for security and safety. They're just literally looking to survive.
Survival. That's the name of that lower bracket. Yeah.
And that survival just means, for the majority of people, the folks that are doing paycheck to paycheck living, a lot of times we find people that really they don't have the ability to think through clearly because they're so worried about finances. And so they might end up at places like these these payday loan places that, when you look at the numbers, it's high interest. And they might not just figure out how to make ends meet. And so there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of health issues, mental issues when it comes to that. So that's the level one thinkers. And I think that one of the first things that they don't need a budget. Budgets may not work for everyone. So we create a spending rhythm. And that spending rhythm is more aligned with what really happens in that family. So you can't teach them that, if you put your numbers into this spreadsheet and then you track it, that this is all going to work out. The majority of the time it doesn't. So that people have a lot of high failure ratio when we don't address what really is a hard issue. A lot of this is psychological and a hard issue more than the things. People are not people are not poor. People are broke because of the decisions that they make. So that's level one. Now let's talk about level two. These are folks that typically have some kind of what we say positive cash flow. So they're not necessarily worried about, yeah, where, are they going to be able to go to that Chick-fil-A, for lunch? Maybe are they going to be able to go to the movies or go to that Tennessee game? Maybe not. Not too much of a concern. But what typically happens is it's not so much about how much money we make, it's about how much money we keep. And so I've dealt with people that make $200,000 a year, and they're in this same kind of arena where they're not maximizing. So here we'd like to say that we want our dollars to have babies, right? And so sometimes a picture, might help somebody. So if you're making 40,000 and you don't have your money having babies, you're still kind of not maximizing. Same thing if you're making 150,000 or 200,000 and you're in the same category, then that's not going to work either. So it's more of, now we talk about level two finance, where the principles here is kind of the principle of the talents. The talents are, there was a master that, gave three servants. One gave him one talent, the other one gave him five, and the other three and five. And so that concept was, they were able to grow and multiply. So that's the concept that we deal with when we talk about level two finance. And finally, level three finance, when people come into our organization and they're operating at this level, it is sort of a high level way of thinking. Now, they're thinking more of abundance. They're thinking more of how to, make their money grow. They're thinking more of investing in maybe non-traditional stuff because, there's so much that goes on about some of the traditional spending. And so, we're really able to sit down with these types of individuals that are level 3 finance thinkers that now want to be able to have an impact. Giving is a big part of this crowd because we're blessed. We need to bless others. Now, here's what happens is that you can't give from an empty cup. So you have to fill that cup. Think about the concept of a storehouse. When the storehouse is filled and filled and filled, then there's abundance there. Well, level 1 finance thinkers aren't doing that. Level 2 thinkers, and they could, but they're not practicing it. The level
They've
3,
got a shed, they don't have a barn.
that's right. And they're not quite there yet. So these are the thinkers that lead more into the human aspect of it. There's an abundance that comes, and these folks probably need to understand that even though they're doing well and they could maybe, they have businesses and they're able to give back to communities, there's something more to just being able to do that. Where is their purpose? So now we talk more about that legacy, right? That concept of knowing that what you do matters on a daily basis. And so, we break it down that way.